If you are a new member of Navy Fed, or maybe you are an older member of Navy Fed, but you've never applied for any credit with Navy Federal, I'm going to talk to you today about improving your internal score with Navy Federal. So if you are interested in this, please make sure you like this video. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider being a subscriber. And I want to shout out all the members of the channel. I really do appreciate all your love. And again, guys, make sure that you stay tuned. Take notes if you even have to, okay? So let's get into today's content. So starting off, improving your internal score. And I got my notes right here. So if you see me looking down, I got my notes because I don't want to leave anything out, all right? So first and foremost, what is the internal score, right? So the internal score is a score that is populated whenever you apply for a credit card with Navy Federal. So hence I got the credit card page up on the screen. So whenever you apply for a credit card, that's what generate this score for you. And whether you're approved or denied, you're going to get a letter in the mail letting you know what that score is, okay? So with that being said, the score ranges from 100 to 450. So think about it as your credit union credit score for them, okay? And of course, you want to be closest to that 450 as you possibly can. So what are some of the steps that you can take, especially if you are new, to get that internal score up, especially if you're interested in applying for a credit card with Navy Federal? So the first thing is first. You cannot skip this first thing. You have to have direct deposit with Navy Federal. You have to have some direct deposit going into Navy Federal. You have to have some direct deposit going into Navy Federal. You can't get around it. I'm on my Dr. Umar with the 3 times. You can't get around that. You got to have some money coming in there. Do you have to have your whole check going in there? No, but you need to have enough money in there so that you can do some of the steps that I'm about to say right here in the rest of my notes for how to get that score up. So you got to have some money coming in there. You want to show that you do have income coming in from employment. It's okay to connect an external account, especially if you do not have a Navy Federal branch in your community where you live. I don't have one in my community where I live. So it's nothing wrong with having your external bank linked. My external bank is linked. But guess what? I also have direct deposit portion of my check going into that Navy Federal account. So that is very, very important. You want to treat them like they're your main one, even if they're not. So you got to get into the dating phase, because one thing is for sure, in your first 90 days of being a member at any credit union or any financial institution, this is your time to show them that you are a good bet, okay? Because think about it like this. When you are a member, not a customer, when you are a member at a credit union, you got to understand this is a not-for-profit entity. So what they're doing is your money, the money that you put into the credit union, helps build the credit union. They do not profit off of the money that's coming in there, only in the forms of interest, right? And whatever fees that they have on the accounts. And of course, when you use your debit card, interchange fees, those type of things. So you want to help bring in money into the credit union. So with that being said, you have to forge a really good relationship. The 90-day probationary period when you first open up an account is very, very important. Just like the first 90 days when you start a job. Okay, it's no different. You want to make sure that you are forging the right things going on in your first 90 days of being in any credit union, not just Navy Federal. You want to make sure that you have direct deposit, you showing income. You want to do these things, especially if you are looking to do credit business with them, whether you want to start off with a credit card first and maybe once you get that foot in the door, go towards a car loan, home loan, because you do know that Navy Federal do mortgages. You know, they do other things other than just credit cards. They also have a business side. So what is your goal when you get this particular membership with this credit union? What is your goal for this membership? So if your goal is just to get a credit card, then you want to make sure that you have a really good internal score, because this score does not reflect on other lines of credit, just the credit card. Okay, so you want to make sure, if that is your goal, to get the flagship, to get whatever card that they have on deck, you want to make sure that internal score is as best as it can get. Okay, so that is the first thing. Direct deposit, you can't get away from that. All right, I want to make sure I'm on point. Okay, the next thing that I suggest that you do as a new member, after you get that direct deposit going, I'm gonna bring it up on the screen real quick. You want to start a Easy Start certificate. Now, what is the Easy Start certificate? It is a CD. It is a way to grow money, right? And so when you are bringing money in, you know, with your direct deposit, you also want to show the ability of also sustaining a savings. Now, the reason why I recommend the Easy Start certificate is because you can actually get interest, better interest than on the regular savings. Not saying that you can't grow some money in the regular savings, but if you can afford to leave some money in that Easy Start certificate for at least a year, let that certificate grow with the minimum $50. And when you have your direct deposit that comes into the checking account, then you want to make sure that you move some of that money automatically in an automatic transfer into that certificate. That's what I do. I have a certain amount of money that comes into that checking account. I just got the free and easy checking account. I do not have the flagship checking account, even though I do have the flagship credit card. I just have the regular free checking account, and that money that I have coming, that portion I have coming in from my direct deposit goes into the checking account. I have the Easy Start certificate, and money from that I have automatically transferred from my checking to my savings at the frequency of my direct deposit. This is forming another relationship. Okay, so if I have a savings, which everyone has to have a savings because that's what makes you a member at any credit union, and then having a checking account, that's another relationship. So you build in relationships here. You got one relationship with your membership, you got two relationship when you're doing checking deposit type of relationship, and now you're adding a third layer of a relationship, which is the certificate. So now you're showing them that you do also have savings as a priority. Now, the way I use my Easy Start certificate, I do it from December to December, so 12 months. And whenever it matures, meaning that it gets to its 12 months, and I have the option at that point to roll it over, the whole thing, or take out a portion of it, or take out the whole thing at the maturity without any penalty. Okay, because if you take it out before then there is a penalty. So you don't want to put more in it than you can afford to leave in it, because you never want to give money. You know, I don't like fees. Okay, I'm one of the ones that I don't like to pay any kind of fee. I don't care how little it is or how big it is. I don't want to pay no fees. So don't put more in the certificate than you can afford to leave in it. Now, one thing I love about Navy Federal certificate is because you can build them with as low as $50. And this is a good thing because they're telling you right here, individuals who want to build good savings habits, you got to really pay attention to the wording of the things that they put on their website. They already telling you building a good savings habit. They want that kind of a look in their members. They want to show that. They want you to demonstrate that. So the Easy Start certificates are an easy way to start building savings quickly with a low minimum purchase and flexible terms. So this can go from 12 months to 24 months, whatever you are comfortable with. Now, I do it again from December to December, and I really use it more as a Christmas club. So when I take it out the first week of December, I use it to purchase whatever Christmas items I'm going to get and Kwanzaa items I'm going to get from my friends and family. So that's what I use it for. And if I don't use all the money in gifts, I just I transfer that amount into my regular savings, and then my certificate starts all over again for the next year. That's how I do it. So I'm also having money in my savings. Okay. So that's how I do that. But what I love about the certificate is that you can build it. That's the biggest thing, because a lot of times you may not have $1,000 minimum that you may have on a traditional CD like this one right here. The standard CD, the minimum is 1,000, and you could go from 3 months to 7 years with this one. But look at the minimum. I love this Easy Start certificate, and really, to me, Navy Federal shines with this, because I have not seen any other credit union with this. I'm gonna have to do some more research, because I'm pretty sure there has to be some out there. But for right now, Navy Federal is shining with this, because you can open this up with $50 and build it up and get that 3.7% APY. That is really, really awesome. And also, if you do not want to, open up an external high yield savings account with somebody else like Discover, which is about to be Capital One on Performance 360 savings. But if you don't want to have your money spread out all over the place, but you do want to take advantage of the high yield, then do the Easy Start certificate with the amount that you can afford to leave in, because again, you can't take this out without a penalty before maturity. Okay. So this is forming another relationship to get that internal score up. All right. So again, you want to do all the things that is forming a relationship before you go pulling triggers with credit. You want to make sure that in the 90 days, the first 90 days, we're not applying for anything. Only thing that we apply for, if you're not a member, you became a member, you want to get the checking account because you want a debit card. You want to use your debit card here. Like me, I don't use my debit card often, because I really use my Navy Federal account more as a savings. I use it really more as a savings, some money here off to the side. I use my other bank, my primary bank, as my main bank. But I do, like I said, I have regular direct deposit, a portion of my check from my job going into that account every time I get paid. So that money is growing in my certificate, in my savings, and also in my checking. So they're seeing that I am trustworthy. That's what I'm getting at. They're seeing that I'm trustworthy, and that if I go for another credit line increase on my flagship card, the likelihood of it getting turned down is very slim to none. My flagship card, when I first got it, I was approved at 20,000, and now it's at 51,000. No cap. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. And I got the card and I got the account in 2023. Yeah, I got the account in April of 2023. So we're going on 3 years that I've had the card and that I had the account. So you want to continue to forge the relationship. The 90 days is very, very important, because you want to get the best terms when it's time for you to pull the trigger, right? Another thing too is, not only are you trying to forge this relationship with Navy Federal, but it's also important your credit file. Okay, your credit profile with those credit bureaus really matter, especially TransUnion, because TransUnion is the credit union that they use to make their lending decisions, especially on the credit cards that I've seen. So you want to make sure that you have your credit profile in the best shape that you can have it in before you pull a trigger. And it's not just with any with this credit union, it's with any credit union you want, or any financial institution that you're trying to do credit or lending business with. Okay. So you just want to make sure that your credit profile is in the best shape. How do we do that? We do that by not having too many inquiries. Okay. You don't want to have more than 1 or 2 inquiries on your credit profile, because again, guys, I'm always telling you on this channel, especially if you're not new, risk. You never want to look risky. When you have a ton of inquiries on your credit profile, it screams, I'm trying to get money, of course, and I'm possibly getting turned down, especially if you have not opened all those accounts. So those inquiries don't match an account, that screams, I might be in financial trouble, so I'm going around trying to apply for credit. So you don't want to have more than 1 or 2 that's on there. Like me, I have 0 inquiries right now on my TransUnion profile. I haven't applied for credit since 2023. Yeah, you really and truly want to let those things age off of your credit, so that way your credit score is as high as it can get in that particular category. And that's like 55 points. That's like 55 points. So that's not nothing to sneeze at. That can be the difference between you getting a really good interest rate or a terrible interest rate, depending on where you are in the credit score scale. So you want to make sure that you have those inquiries low, because Navy Federal is inquiry sensitive. Okay. So having too many is not a good look. Any negative information that you have on your credit report, you need to get that cleaned up as much as possible before you pull the trigger and getting credit. Because again, I don't want you all going for the card that you think you can get because your credit is jacked. I want you to go for the card that you actually want. Okay. I see a lot of people that always go for this platinum card first because they feel like this is a safer bet and they'll probably get approved for this card over some of the other ones. And I say, don't do that. I say, don't do that. I say, you look at the cards, and the card that you really want, the card that is going to be beneficial for you, that's the card that you should apply for. That is the card that you should aim to be able to get approved for. So if you really want the flagship card, you got to give a flagship credit profile. If you want the more rewards card, because again, it has the more rewards. I love this card. I don't have it, but I love this card. You want to make sure that you can get in these cards that can actually give you some cash back, like getting the Prime right here, especially if you're an Amazon Prime user, you're getting the Prime for free, you know, all the other travel perks and that kind of thing. So really and truly, you want to look in to putting your best foot forward the first time. Don't just apply for this one because I think this is a safe bet. I think this is the one they'll give me, because guess what? The perk of this card is the possible low APR and being able to get the 0% interest, you know, that you can use for the first year. But after that, it has zero perks. It literally has zero perks after that. You're not going to get any types of cash back or anything like that. It's really don't have any benefit other than if you're trying to transfer a balance and you're trying to get that 0% interest. So this is not a good card unless you want to transfer a balance, really. So you want to go for the ones that would be more beneficial in your actual wallet than the safe bet, or what you perceive as the safe bet. I even like this card better, the cash rewards card, over this card. So if you're going to apply for something, I would rather you apply for the cash rewards card, because, or the cash rewards plus, just depending on which one you get approved for, because at least you're going to get some rewards back on this card. You know, this one right here is really a dead card if you're not going to be doing a balance transfer. All right. So let's look at the next thing on my list. So the next thing I have on my list is if you have a thin credit profile. If you have a thin credit profile for whatever reason, maybe you're just new to credit, or maybe you're rebuilding and you may have had some things to get removed, as I was just saying, and maybe your credit profile has become thin because maybe some things you did in the past has fallen off your credit report. Maybe you are getting out of bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is in your past, okay? And now you want to start off fresh. Then you want to do something else to get your score up, and that is apply for a pledge loan. You want to apply for a pledge loan. You want to make sure that you are able to start another relationship because you need something else on your credit profile. Now, when you do the pledge loan, do not do this pledge loan for less than 2 years. If you do it for less than 2 years, it's not going to help your credit score, because that's really what you're trying to do at the end of the day. Not just get a credit card with Navy Federal, but you also are trying to kill two birds with one stone in essence. You want to build a relationship with them, but you also want to build your credit report. So if you have a thin credit profile, this is a good way to get that started. I would not let this be less than 2 years, 24 months when you actually go in and set your terms. Now, the dollar amount that you want to do on a pledge loan, that's totally up to you. A lot of people are put in these big astronomical amounts, you know, $5,000 just to pay off with 85 to 90%, and then let the rest of it trickle off for 2 years or however long they got it, 60 months, whatever. I don't recommend that. I really don't. I recommend putting in the amount that you can afford to put in there and leave it in there and let that build. Put the amount in there that you can actually afford the monthly payment on, and let that build up for you, because that just shows good credit management, right? The play that everybody has used forever and a day with the pledge loan, I just think is, just played out, in my opinion. So I would rather you get the pledge loan, put the amount in there that you can afford to leave in there, but you need to put enough in there that it can last for 24 months. Okay. And make those regular on-time payments. Set that thing up on auto pay, and have that thing going. Even if you want to pull the trigger on your credit card before then, if you want to wait and pull the trigger on your credit card after your 90 days, that's fine. But I would want this to forge a relationship to help your thin credit profile. That's what you needed. So again, a lot of people like to pay like the majority of the pledge loan off early, and then let $10 or $20 payments linger on for however long. But to me, I just don't like that. I don't like it anymore. I mean, and I have talked about this, but that was 3 years ago. We have to do things different, right? We had to do things different. We have to move differently. So I really do not recommend doing it that way. I recommend putting in the amount that you can afford to leave in there. And as you're paying it, that money is going to come back available to you in your savings account. So then leave that money in the savings. That's why I say don't put more in anything, not the certificate, not the pledge loan that you can't afford to leave in there. All right. It's just like your investments. You never put more in your investments that you can't afford to leave in there. So leave those things in there, because that shows good savings habits. Okay. So you don't want to put stuff in there that you really need back, because that just shows you don't have it. Again, that just shows that you really don't have it. If you're putting $5,000 in the pledge loan and then you paying it back off in a week or whatever, did you really need that pledge loan? Did you really need it? You see what I'm saying? This is where I'm getting at. I just want y'all to think a little different. Just think a little different. Think a little more logically if you are on the other side of the table. I always tell my clients that that have consultations with me. I always tell them, look at yourself if you're on the other side of the table, and would you lend to you? If you are looking at your profile, if you're looking at your credit profile, if you're looking at your relationship with the credit union, would you lend to you with what you see? And if your answer is no, that means you have more work that you need to do. Because if you say no, they definitely going to say no. Okay. I always tell people to look at it that way. So now you have done the things to have a relationship that you have formed. We're waiting after our 90 days. So again, you got the direct deposit. You started the Easy Start certificate. You got money going into your savings that's staying in your regular savings. You got some going in your certificate. You're using your debit card. You don't have to use it every day, but I'm just saying, sparingly. I use mine sparingly, and that way you're forming a relationship, right? You're not letting your statements come to your house. You're getting e-statements. Any way that you can save this credit union money, that way that you are forming a good relationship with them, right? So that's what you want to do. You want to be on your P's and Q's. You want to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, especially in your first 90 days, because I always want to make sure that you are putting your best foot forward with any new financial institution. So after your 90 days, I want you to go to the pre-qualify if you are wanting to apply for a credit card. Okay, so do your pre-qualify. If you're already a member, you can find out if you pre-qualify before applying for a Navy Federal credit card. So this is what you want to do. So this right here gives you a basis of where you look at right now in their eyes. Okay, and some people said it is not 100% accurate, and probably not. Everything is not 100% foolproof, but it does give you a basis. Now, one thing it says, a pre-qualification doesn't guarantee approval when you apply. When you apply, we consider factors such as your monthly debt to income. So again, you want to make sure that you have things in the right order and tip-top shape, I's dotted, T's crossed before you even pull the trigger. Because again, I don't want you to go for safe bet options because you're not ready versus the ones that you actually want, because you have things that you have to work on. And there's nothing wrong with waiting things out so that things are better. You want to get the best whenever you're applying for credit. You don't want to get high APRs. You don't want to get, just really suck credit because you're not willing to wait until things are better. Okay. You're not willing to wait and really forge the relationship to make things better. So again, they're looking at more than just the relationship, but the relationship is the top thing is on the list. Your credit profile matters, and how much money do you make, and do you have the ability to pay back, especially if they give you a really high limit starting out. So of course, look at this. Now, if you were to go to the pre-qualify and it only qualifies you for the secured card, that is not a bad thing. That means that you have some more work to do on your credit profile. That's what that means. So either your credit profile is thin, or maybe you still have some things on there that needs to be taken off. You might need some things that might need to be removed. But if they will give you the secure card, I would say go for the secure option. That is a foot in the door. And again, it's not a terrible card, because at least the secure card gives you earn unlimited 1% cash back on all purchases. Really, the secure card is better than the platinum card. Again, the platinum card is only good if you got a balance transfer, right? So at least you could get some cash back on here. So I really think that this is even still a better option than this one, even though you have to put up your own money. So with that being said, if this is the only card that you can get, then I would say do not do less than $500, because when this card graduate, I want it to graduate higher than $2,000, right? Usually when you start off with 200, you usually get an upgrade to 2,000 when it graduates. You really want more than that, all right? You want to have a bigger credit line, because banks go by what the other bank did. Credit unions too. Whatever the other one did, that's what they're going to follow suit. So you want to make sure that you're trying to get the highest limit that you can get. So again, 500 at the minimum. You want to start off with at least 500. So if you don't have 500 to put on the card, that's going to be your savings goal. When you having your direct deposit coming in, that's going to be your savings goal outside of your Easy Start certificate to build up $500 so you can put on this card. Okay, we have to do these things in order. And then once you get this secured card, if that's the only one that you qualify for, once you get a secured card, again, good credit habits with this card. Use the card, pay it back off. Use the card, pay it back off. Use the card, pay it back off. Good credit habits, right? You never want to have any late payments, especially on a secure card. You don't want any late payments, period, especially reporting to your credit report, 30 days late. But you definitely do not want to do that, even if it's a day late. You do not want it to even be a day late, even if it's not going to report on your credit report, because that does not look good, and that will hinder you from graduating this card. And this card graduates in steps. I just did a video about it, so I'm gonna link it. So if you don't know, but this card graduates in steps. So you got a 3-month mark and a 6-month mark, right? So you want to make sure that you are doing all the things so that you hit those marks. Okay. Again, I will link that video, that newer video that I just did like a couple of weeks ago, so that if you need some more information about that, you'll have it. All right. So those are my top things. Those are my top recommendations if you need to improve your internal score because you are looking to apply for one of these credit cards. That is my take on it. You got to have a relationship. You got to have money coming in there. Your credit profile matters. Your income matters. Okay. It's letting you know right there on their main pages what they are looking for. Okay, so you don't want to skip any of those details. All of them are very important. And again, I always tell you this, guys, not just Navy Federal. Navy Federal has the internal score that everybody knows about, that we talk about, but you got to understand a lot of credit unions work this way. Majority of, I say 99% of credit unions, I really could be safe to say 100% of credit unions work this way. All of them want a relationship. All of them want them to do right, want you to do right by them financially, whether it's bringing money in, but they see that you're a good member, paying your other bills on time, showing that you are responsible out here in the financial streets, making sure that your debt to income look good. All of those things matter. All those things matter. So it doesn't matter what financial institution that you're dealing with. You always want to put your best foot forward. And if you're not ready to put your best foot forward, I'm not telling you to go out there and get some of the terrible credit options that they have out there, worst starter cards and all that kind of stuff. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just telling you to take your time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will your credit. Okay. Especially if you had challenges and you having to rebuild. you really and truly need to work on those things first, again, so that you get the best credit options. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And if you have anything that you want me to discuss on this channel, please make sure you leave that in the comments, or you can email me at info@starrcarter.com. That's info@starrcarter.com. And Starr does have 2 R's in it. And let me know. I may bring up your question right here on the show, and we can talk about it. Okay. So again, guys, make sure that you like the video, leave me a comment, let me know what's going on. And if you can hype this video, give it a hype. I really do appreciate it. And I'm gonna see you guys in the next one.